So from an early age, you had gun in your hand.
I did.
What was your first gun?
Well, the first gun I was shooting was my grandmother's Ivers Johnson 410 single barrel shotgun. And that was, you know, a Blue Jay uh, uh, killer for shooting blue jays in our almond orchards. And they uh, graduated me because the 410 shells were expensive, but when I was about between 8 and 10 years old, I got to start shooting the 22. And I was kind of my first marksmanship challenge was shooting those blue jays out of the tops of the almond trees with a 22. So that and all of my uncles were shooters of one sort or another, and both rifles, shotguns, and pistols, and they of course let me shoot their guns. And I can remember the first handgun I ever shot was a Colt Woodsman 22 pistol, and my uncle that let me shoot that also had a single action Army and 44 Special that he let me shoot, and that was the first big bore handgun that I ever shot. And we would shoot coffee cans off of fence posts were our targets when we were shooting the pistols.
So RJ, when you were growing up, you said your dad kind of left early. Who was your father figure? Was it your
Well, it was my uncle Judson,
Okay.
Judson Munger, uh, and to some degree, my other uncle was Frank Risner, and those guys were both up at the ranch, you know, and rural guys. They're both farmers and ranchers, so
hmm
they were they were there, kind of a constant reminder of what a Western man should be. You know, things like your handshake is your bond, and you don't lie to people, and if you tell somebody you're going to do something, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about your proficiency with weapons, but do you think, I mean, obviously, you had a gun in your hand since you were 10 years or 10 years old or younger. Do you think it was, obviously, your rifle was helping with your proficiency, your, long range shooting. How important do you think that shotgun was in terms of movement and targeting?
I'm not sure what you mean by movement
Well,
and targeting.
so as opposed to rifle shooting where you're sighting in, long range shooting, it seems to me with the shotgun you're
Oh yeah,
constantly
yeah,
moving.
yeah. It's a moving target.
Yeah.
It's 180 degrees out.
Yeah.
Truth be known,
hmm
you point a shotgun. You focus your eye on the object you're trying to hit with a moving target, a shotgun, and and if you look at the barrel, you're going to miss. So the barrel does have some crude sights on it. They call them beads on the sights, but that's just to see if you've got the gun in your shoulder correctly. If you're looking straight down the rib or the round barrel and you see the bead, you know that you're looking straight down the barrel is all. But you don't aim the shotgun. You swing the shotgun, and when your brain tells you you're at the right moment, overtaking a moving target, you pull the trigger and you get the moving target. So
Do those skills translate over to your pistol skills?
no, actually, the pistol skills are require refinement of the skills you shoot with a rifle, in that you have to hold the pistol, particularly if you're competing, with one hand. So holding the pistol with one hand steadily and watching your sights and not disturbing your sights as you compress the trigger uh, is a more difficult technique to learn than a rifle, which you can often rest on something or hold still in one way or another, unless you're shooting offhand, which most people don't do. But it's a much easier proposition to hold a rifle still than it is a pistol still.
Mm.
And of course, when I was learning to shoot a pistol early on, it was all one-handed. Nobody had developed the modern technique of pistol shooting. Jeff Cooper was pretty much a couple years older than I was, and he had not come out and started the Southwest Pistol League and all of the IPSC and all of that stuff. But uh, I didn't really know anything about that stuff until I got back from Vietnam and learned about that stuff, and then I started competing as a combat shooter, IPSC shooter, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Any brothers and sisters?
I one sister.
Okay. What'd she end up doing?
She was a nurse aide. She still lives up in Oregon, in Bend,
Okay.
and yeah, that's about. She never had any military connections or anything.
What kind of kid were you, RJ?
Well, I was I suppose some would say obsessed hunter. Uh, I hunted everything, varmints from squirrels, and jackrabbits, all the way up to the biggest big game was in Central California. There were black-tailed deer, Pacific Coast black-tailed deer, and it's the seasons in that part of California start in August and go through October, and it's hot, averages 90 to 100 degrees there. There's no water, so you got to carry your own water. They're not very high hills, but they're steep, 5,000-6,000 feet, and so you got to carry water. You got to walk up and down these hills in 100-degree heat, and then if you kill a deer, you've got to gut him, put him on your back, and carry him back. So it was quite a challenging hunting situation there, and I didn't really get into other big game hunting until I got back from Vietnam, and I suddenly realized how hard it was, what I was doing as a kid compared to what other guys did, hunting deer, for instance, or hunting antelope, or hunting elk. Or they drive in a nice air-conditioned pickup and get out and shoot an animal, go back to their tent and drink whiskey, So anyway, it taught me a lot of life lessons, and it kind of prepared me for a life of hunting, and I've been fortunate to be able to hunt all over the world. I've killed African game, and I've killed big game in Australia, the big Asian buffaloes in Australia, and Cape buffalo in Africa. And I've never had any ambition to shoot any large, like rhinoceros or hippopotamus or elephants, and I don't even care about shooting lions. I kind of feel like they're fellow hunters and don't have any reason to kill them. Certainly not going to eat them. So I've gone to Africa and killed the plains game plus buffalo, and it was quite an experience. It really teaches you something to go hunt those animals in Africa.